On January 30th, 1969, the Beatles gave their final public performance, a spontaneous and iconic roof concert that would become one of the most famous moments in rock history. Set against the backdrop of the band's tumultuous final years, the rooftop performance was not just a musical event, but a powerful symbol of the end of an era. It was a fitting farewell to the band's public life, showcasing both their artistry and the undeniable chemistry that had once captivated the world. Despite its simplicity, the rooftop concert remains a vivid testament to the creativity and charisma that defined the Beatles. The rooftop concert was part of the Let It Be film project, which captured the Beatles during their last days as a group. At the time, tensions were high within the band. Their relationships had become strained, and the creative process for their Let It Be album was far from smooth. Despite their internal conflicts, the band members, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, managed to come together for one last performance. The idea for the rooftop concert came about almost accidentally, as the Beatles, along with their film crew, were looking for a way to finish the Let It Be film. The location for the performance was chosen due to its relative isolation. The Beatles performed atop the Apple Corps building on Savile Row in London, a location that had significance to them, as it was the headquarters for their company. The idea was to hold an impromptu performance that would be filmed for the documentary. It was a bold decision, as the band had not performed live for several years, and the rooftop concert would mark the last time they would play in front of a crowd. On the day of the performance, the Beatles set up their equipment on the roof of the building, and the sound was broadcast across the area. The concert was not announced in advance, and only a small group of people knew what was about to happen. As the music began, people on the street below were drawn to the sound, and soon a crowd gathered in front of the building. Some of them recognized the music, while others were simply curious about the unusual spectacle. The rooftop concert was not just a random event, it was a carefully orchestrated performance. The Beatles played a selection of songs from their Let It Be album, including Get Back, Don't Let Me Down, and I've Got a Feeling. The performance was raw and stripped back compared to their earlier concerts, with the band playing live with minimal studio enhancements. The performance was electric, and despite the challenges and internal conflicts within the band, there was an undeniable sense of unity and energy. It felt like a moment of magic in the midst of a difficult period. Throughout the performance, the band members were clearly enjoying themselves, with John Lennon and Paul McCartney exchanging smiles and glances. The camaraderie between them was evident, and the energy of the music was contagious. In contrast to the strained and sometimes fractured atmosphere in the studio, the rooftop performance was a celebration of the music that had brought them together in the first place. However, the concert was not without its obstacles. The police arrived on the scene after neighbors complained about the noise, and they were forced to ask the Beatles to stop the performance. Despite the interruption, the band managed to play for nearly 42 minutes, delivering an unforgettable performance. The sound of the Beatles' music echoed through the streets of London, a fitting tribute to their incredible career and their lasting legacy. Though the rooftop concert marked the end of the Beatles' public performances, it was not the end of their influence. The footage of the rooftop concert would go on to become one of the most iconic moments in rock history, immortalizing the band's final moments together as a live act. The performance also marked the beginning of a new era for the band members as they went on to pursue their own solo careers after the breakup of the Beatles in 1970. The Beatles' rooftop concert has remained a powerful symbol of the band's unity and creativity. In the years since, it has been referenced and celebrated in countless documentaries, films, and music history retrospectives. The performance is remembered not just for its historical significance, but also for its raw energy and the connection it captured between the band and their fans. The rooftop concert, captured in its entirety in Let It Be, continues to inspire new generations of musicians and fans. Its spontaneous, unpolished nature, coupled with its emotional significance, reminds us of the power of music and the lasting impact of the Beatles. It was a moment that encapsulated everything the Beatles stood for: innovation, passion, and a deep love for music. Even as the band's members moved on to different paths, the Rooftop concert stands as a reminder of the unforgettable bond they shared as the Beatles and the lasting influence they continue to have on the world of music. The Beatles' Rooftop concert is much more than a historical event. It's a testament to their enduring legacy as musical pioneers and cultural icons. It was an impromptu farewell that became an iconic moment in rock history, one that still resonates with audiences around the world today.